So for this lesson, we'll be discussing another parts of speech, which are the adjectives. So adjectives play a great role in our communication process because it helps us describe and modify the topic of our sentences or the subject or any part of the sentence that we want. But aside from describing them, we also use adjectives to limit possibilities, to set parameters in certain discussions, and to improve the quality of our message. So to define, an adjective modifies a noun or a pronoun by providing descriptive or special detail. So unlike adverbs, adjectives do not modify verbs, other adjectives or adverbs, but they only modify nouns and pronouns. So usually in the sentence, their position is that they are placed before the noun or pronoun the adjective is going to modify. So adjectives do not have to agree in number or gender with the nouns they describe, which is much easier to discern compared to how verbs are in a sentence, which has to agree with, let's say, its subject. Adjectives are simple enough that we can recognize them by answering the questions what kind, how many, or which ones. So if you read the following example, let's say Tom bought a used car. So our adjective here is used. So according to our definition, an adjective usually but not always, precede the noun or pronoun it is going to modify. So in this case, the word used, which is our adjective, comes before the noun it modifies, which is a car. So by the way, class, you might get confused because used is a verb. However, uh, this verb is in its past participle form, and past participles or past participle verb are used as adjective in sentences. So second statement, Sally baked 10 pies for the school bake sale. So 10 here is an adjective describing how many pies, which is a noun, that our subject actually bring for the school bake sale. So this sentence also tells us that numbers are considered adjectives. They are called numerical adjectives. And then Bob climbed that tree. That is an adjective that set aside or set apart the tree from other trees in the backyard as what the subject Bob climbed. So that here, which is in many cases a relative pronoun or a demonstrative pronoun, can function also as an adjective. So to help us more in understanding the different adjectives, let us classify its types. So there are different types. Let's start with the descriptive adjectives. So as you can see on what is being projected, descriptive adjectives, so they name a quality of the noun or pronoun that it modifies. So when we say quality, it's a discerning characteristic or what sets it apart from the other noun of the same count. So for example, brown dog. So brown is a descriptive adjective. So brown is a color. Bigger house. Bigger is an adjective and it is telling of size. And fluffy, in this example, is an adjective that tells texture. Okay. When we say proper adjectives, so these are adjectives derived from proper nouns. So, uh, in most cases, a proper adjective is just a noun placed next to another noun. So they function as an adjective because they are describing the noun that they are put beside to. So for example, French class, Spanish food, and European car. For example, English teacher. So English is also a noun, but because it is describing what type of teacher the teacher is, it is also an adjective. So a limiting adjective, however, restricts the meaning of the word it modifies. So for example, that car. So it specifies not this car, but that car. So it sets apart what car you are talking about in an example. Okay, this room and the tree. So another type of limiting adjectives are the articles a, an, and the. So they limit the number of the subject that they are describing. Interrogative adjectives, on the other hand, are adjectives used to ask questions. So when we say any any word that is used to ask question is actually considered an interrogative adjective. For example, whose books, which pencil, yan, what topic. Coordinate adjectives, however, are not usually used in normal day-to-day conversations or in uh, academic writing, because most of coordinate adjectives, which are adjectives that are consist of two or more adjectives separated by a comma instead of by a coordinating conjunction, they are usually seen in poetic sentences and prosic sentences. So we have a cold, rainy day. So our coordinate adjectives here are the cold and rainy, separated by the comma in between. So another type of adjective is the compound adjective, which is consists of two or more words that function as a unit. So depending on its position within the sentence, the compound adjective is punctuated with or without a hyphen. So when a compound adjective comes before the noun it modifies, use a hyphen to join the adjectives. Otherwise, when a compound adjective follows the noun it modifies, do not use a hyphen to join the adjectives. So please take note of this, because a lot of uh, people do not are not aware of when to use a hyphen or when to hyphenate their words and adjectives or words in general. So let's study the example to highlight that discussion. So our sentence reads, she is taking a class on 19th century literature. So if you will notice, our compound adjective here is 19th century to describe what type of literature. So our adjective is hyphenated because it comes before the word or the noun it modifies. So according to our rule, we hyphenate a compound adjective if it comes before the noun it modifies. In the other statement, she is studying literature from the 19th century. So our adjective here, our compound adjective, is not hyphenated because it comes after the adjective it is modifying. Alright, so moving on, we also use determiners as adjectives. So what are determiners in general? So the determiners are also known as articles, and or they are can also be pronominal adjectives or pronouns and numbers that function as determiners of numbers, determiners of possession, and determiners of possession. So when a determiner is used as an adjective, it restricts the noun it modifies, like a limiting adjective. So determiners function as adjectives, tell which, one, how many, and whose. So for that explanation, so you can see the following examples of determiners. So articles are considered determiners. So they are the a, an, and the. Possessive nouns are also determiners, as like my, our, your, his, her, its, and their, and so on. So take note of this list because it will help you familiarize yourselves with the different determiners that we can use as adjectives. Alright, now that we are made aware of the different adjectives and the different types of adjectives, let us now study its order in sentences. So why is there a need to identify the proper way of putting adjectives in a sentence? Because as we all know, in order to describe something, it's not enough that sometimes we use only one adjective. We use a series of them in order to give a precise description of the subject or the point of our sentence. So And another thing, a single noun can be described in a list of adjectives. So when more than one adjective is used to modify a noun, it is important to consider the order in which the adjectives appear. So generally, the adjectives most important in completing the meaning of the noun are placed closest to the noun. So following is the usual order of adjectives in a series. So this is our usual order of adjectives in a series. So take note, please, that determiners in the form of articles a, an, or the would be followed by demonstrative, this or those, and possessive, his, our, Mary's, everybody. So these are just examples, amounts or numbers, and then order. So in cases that none of these are present in the sentence, you go to the next best thing, which is the coordinate adjectives. So it could be nice, nasty, packed, fitful, or the quality or the things that describe or the adjectives that describe the quality of what you are trying to modify. So after that, you go for size, shape, age, color, nationality if it's present in the sentence, uh, adjectives describing architectural style or religion, adjectives describing material like cardboard, metal, plastic, silver, gold, and after that would be nouns functioning as adjectives or the noun adjectives that we have or the proper adjectives or noun adjectives that we have discussed before. So soccer ball like this, cardboard box, and the history class. So nouns functioning as adjectives are just nouns placed to another noun. So the noun that comes before the other noun is actually an adjective and not actually a noun. So you'll get that if you analyze the sentence as you should. And so these are examples. A big brick house. So you can see we have an article, which is a determiner, followed by the size, followed by noun functioning as an adjective. And then we have these old brown cardboard boxes. So we have these. These are actually determiners. Old is age, brown is color, cardboard is a noun functioning as adjective. And then a beautiful young Italian woman. So we have an article, a personal opinion. In this sense, this is a quality, a noun describing quality. And then young is age, Italian is a proper noun or a noun describing another noun. So please memorize this as this is very important. It comes up from time to time in any linguistic exams. Now, after identifying the different positioning of adjectives and their proper positioning in a sentence, let us now discuss when do we use adjectives? Because yeah, we know that we use them for modification, modifying purposes, limiting, and descriptive purposes. But what, why do we use them, or how do we use them, and when do we use them? So we use adjective as subject complement. So complements, it means it completes the meaning of the subject, as in the following example. So adjectives used as subjective complements. Uh, it is a word, or a subject complement is a word that follows a linking verb and it modifies the sentence subject, not its verb. So yeah. So linking verbs are is or are, or words that appear like that, like this one. Yeah. Okay, so the crowd appeared calm. So in this sense, calm, which is an adjective, is our subjective complement because it completes the subject. So what type of crowd? Calm. And it appears, or it is placed after a linking verb. So just a clue, in order for you to identify whether the verb in the sentence is a linking verb, try to substitute them with is or are, was or were. If the sentence meaning is not compromised, then the verb that you substituted is a linking verb. Okay, we also use adjectives as object complements. So the object complement, unlike the subject complement, is a word that follows a sentence direct object and modifies that object and not the verb. So an object complement answers the question what after the direct object. So for example, Bob considered the experiment a success. So this is our adjective here. Uh, it is the complement of the direct object experiment. So how do we identify whether it is the direct object? Because it answers the question what after our verb. Yeah. So it modifies the sentence's direct object experiment. Okay. So adjectives can be also a past and present participle of verbs. So these are formed by adding ed, t, or en in the form of the verb. So, yan. Present participle naman, we add ing to its to the verb. Ano. So, for example, the group of children scared the sleeping dog. Sleeping here is describing the word dog. So, miss, hindi po ba this is a verb? No, it's not a verb here because it's not technically telling the action of the subject. Its purpose here is to describe what type of dog there is, and that is a sleeping dog. So this is a present participle of the verb that is functioning as an adjective. Next statement, the students refused to eat the dried fruit. Dried here is in the past participle describing what type of fruit. Okay. Okay, there you have it, class. So I hope our discussion of the different type of adjectives and their function is clear enough. So if there are questions or clarification, you can always replay the video to get your questions answered. Then please move to answering the activities to check your own understanding. Thank you. See you in other videos.